The lasagna was still warm in my hands, cradled carefully as I climbed the familiar front steps of my parents' house. Sunday dinner had been a sacred tradition ever since I was a little girl, old enough to sit at the table and listen to the clatter of plates and the hum of family chatter. Even now, living 40 minutes away, buried under the weight of 60-hour work weeks, I never missed it. It was my anchor, my tether to the people I loved most. The comforting scent of Mom's garlic bread wafted through the screen door, mingling with the muffled voices from inside, warm and inviting. I was about to knock, my knuckles hovering just above the wood, when I heard my name spoken in a way that stopped me cold. "Sophie won't be a problem. She never says no to family," my father's voice declared from the kitchen, steady and certain. I froze, my hand suspended inches from the door, my heart suddenly pounding in my chest. But $300,000? That's insane. How did you even? My mother's voice was tight, strained with a worry I rarely heard from her, the kind that made the air feel heavy. "It doesn't matter how," snapped Nathan, my older brother, his tone sharp and defensive, cutting through the room like a blade. "What matters is that I need it handled before they start the legal proceedings. You said you'd help." "We will," Dad said firmly, his voice leaving no room for doubt. "Your sister got that promotion, remember? Senior financial analyst at that big firm downtown. She's probably making, $150,000 a year now?" "More," Nathan added, a hint of smugness in his voice. "She mentioned something about bonuses." My stomach churned, turning to ice as their words sank in. The lasagna dish, once a symbol of my love for them, suddenly felt like it weighed 100 pounds in my trembling hands. "We'll tell her it's for the house," Mom said, her voice already shifting into that familiar tone she used when convincing herself something wrong was actually right. "We'll say we need repairs for the roof, maybe the foundation. 30,000 at first, then we'll bring up medical bills. I'll say I need some procedures. We can spread it out over a few months." "She'll give it." "She always does," Dad agreed, his tone heavy with certainty. "Remember when Nathan needed that business loan 5 years ago? 20,000, no questions asked. She didn't even ask for it back when the business failed." Nathan's voice cut in, sharp and biting. "That's because Sophie doesn't understand how the real world works." I could practically hear the smirk in his words. "She still thinks family means something. It's almost sad." "Don't talk about your sister that way," Mom said, but her protest was weak, half-hearted, as if she didn't quite believe her own defense. "I'm just saying she's always been naive," Nathan continued. "Remember when she gave you her entire signing bonus to help with the mortgage? $40,000, just hand it over." "Who does that?" "A good daughter," Dad said, but there was a twist in his voice, a shadow that made it sound like he meant a foolish daughter. "Exactly," Nathan said, his voice dripping with calculation. "So, we'll work this angle. Take care of my debt, maybe have some leftover for that vacation house you've been wanting. Sophie won't even realize what's happening. We'll space out the requests, make each one sound desperate. She can't say no when Mom cries." "I don't like lying to her," Mom said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's not lying," Nathan countered, his tone cold and dismissive. "We're family. Her money is family money. Besides, she doesn't have kids, doesn't have a husband. What's she spending it on anyway? That stupid apartment downtown." The apartment I'd worked tirelessly to afford, I thought bitterly, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the lasagna. "She'll be fine," Dad said with a finality that cut through me. "Sophie's always been fine. That's what she does, she handles things. And we need this handled." "Nathan, you're sure there's no other way?" Mom asked, her voice trembling. "Unless you want me in federal prison for tax evasion and fraud?" Nathan shot back. "No, this is it. My lawyer says if I can pay it back before the audit goes deeper, they'll probably let it go with penalties. Tax evasion. Fraud. My successful brother, the one with the shiny Mercedes, the sprawling McMansion, the one my parents bragged about at every family gathering, was a criminal. And they were planning to make me pay for it. We'll start next week," Mom said, her voice resigned. "After dinner today, I'll mention the roof. Plant the seed. Make it good," Nathan instructed. "Cry if you have to. Sophie turns into pudding when you cry." I backed away from the door slowly, silently, my whole body trembling. The lasagna dish slipped slightly in my sweaty palms, but I caught it, gripping it tightly. I couldn't drop it. I couldn't make a sound. I couldn't let them know I'd heard everything. My car was parked on the street, and I made it there on legs that felt like jelly, my breath shallow and ragged. I slid into the driver's seat, the lasagna growing cold on my lap, and tried to process what I'd just overheard. My family, the people I'd sacrificed everything for, the people I'd loved without question, were planning to con me, to manipulate me, to use my love for them as a weapon against me. The $40,000 signing bonus I'd given them, I'd eaten ramen for a year to rebuild my savings. The $20,000 for Nathan's failed business, I'd canceled a vacation I'd planned for 3 years. Every time they needed money, I'd given it without hesitation, thinking I was being a good daughter, a good sister. But they saw me as a mark, a naive fool to be exploited. My phone buzzed, jarring me from my thoughts. A text from Mom. "Where are you, sweetie? Dinner's ready." I stared at it for a long moment, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, then typed back, "Sorry. Got called into work. Emergency audit. Rain check." 3 dots appeared immediately, and then her reply, "Oh no, but we have something important to discuss." "Can it wait?" The roof. She was already starting, just as they'd planned. "Sorry, Mom," I texted back. "Boss says it's urgent. Love you." I drove home in a daze, the lasagna sitting on the passenger seat like a relic from a life I no longer recognized, a life where I believed my family loved me, not just my bank account. By the time I reached my apartment, a plan was forming in my mind. They wanted to play games? Fine. But they'd chosen the wrong mark. That night, I sat at my computer, my fingers flying across the keyboard. I moved every penny I had, every savings account, every investment, every liquid asset into new accounts they didn't know existed. I called my bank, set up fraud alerts on everything, changed all my passwords, and enabled 2-factor authentication. My phone rang constantly, Mom, Dad, Nathan, but I let every call go to voicemail. I wasn't ready to face them yet. Monday morning, I walked into my boss's office, my heart pounding, but my resolve firm. "Karen, I need a meeting," I said, closing the door behind me. Personal, not professional, but it might affect my work. Karen Richards, a sharp woman in her 50s who'd built her career on reading people and situations, leaned back in her chair and studied me. "Go on." I told her everything, the overheard conversation, the years of financial exploitation, Nathan's legal troubles. She listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with each detail, her eyes narrowing as the full scope of their betrayal unfolded. When I finished, she leaned forward, her voice steady. "First, you're handling this remarkably well. Most people would be a mess. Second, you need a lawyer, not for you, but for protection against what they might try. Third, and this is important, you need to document everything, every request for money, every transaction, every communication." "I've already started," I said, pulling out my phone to show her the spreadsheet I'd begun. 5 years of financial hemorrhaging, laid out in black and white. Nearly $200,000 gone, money I'd given willingly, thinking it was for love. Karen whistled low. "Sophie, I'm going to give you some advice that's probably overstepping, but you need to hear it. Your family is not your responsibility. Their debts, their crimes, their choices, none of that is on you." I nodded, though I wasn't sure I fully believed it yet. "I'm also going to suggest something else," Karen continued. "We have an opening in our London office. Same position, better pay, and most importantly, an ocean between you and them. Interested?" London, 3,000 miles away from the family that saw me as an ATM. My heart leaped at the thought. "When would I start?" "Next month," she said. "We'd handle the visa, moving expenses, everything. Consider it a fresh start." I left her office feeling lighter than I had in days, a spark of hope igniting in my chest. That night, the calls from my family became frantic, 23 missed calls from Mom, 15 from Dad, 31 from Nathan. The voicemails progressed from concern to anger to desperation. "Sophie, this is ridiculous. Call your mother back. Sweetie, please. We're worried about you. Stop being a drama queen and answer your phone. Sophie, this is serious. Nathan needs our help. Family helps family. The word family felt like a slap every time I heard it. On Tuesday, I finally answered Nathan's call. Jesus Christ, Sophie, where have you been? He demanded, his voice thick with frustration. Working, I said calmly, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. You know, at that job you all think is just a fountain of free money. What's that supposed to mean? He snapped. It means I'm busy, Nathan. What do you want? We need to talk as a family. Can you come to dinner tomorrow? Can't, I said. I have plans. Plans? He scoffed. What plans are more important than family? The kind where people don't scheme to defraud me out of $300,000. The silence on the other end was deafening, a void that swallowed his bravado. I don't know what you're talking about, he finally said, but his voice was shaky. Tax evasion and fraud, Nathan. Really? And you were going to make me pay for it, tell mom and dad to lie to me, manipulate me. You were listening, he accused. You were eavesdropping on a private conversation. I was bringing lasagna for family dinner, I shot back. Remember family? That thing you said I foolishly believe means something. Sophie, listen, it's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, I interrupted, my voice rising. You were planning to con me, your own sister, the one who's bailed you out for years. I'm in trouble, Sophie. Real trouble. I could go to prison. Then you should have thought of that before committing fraud, I said coldly. Are you seriously going to let me go to prison over money? Money you can afford to spare. I couldn't afford the $40,000 I gave mom and dad, I said, my voice breaking despite my resolve. I couldn't afford the $20,000 I gave you. I couldn't afford any of it, but I gave it anyway because I thought that's what family does. Turns out, I was wrong about what family means. Sophie, please, he begged, but I was done. I hung up and blocked his number. The text started immediately, Nathan begging, mom guilt-tripping, dad demanding, but I archived them all without reading. Wednesday brought a new tactic. Mom showed up at my office building during lunch, tears streaming down her face, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. Sophie, please, just talk to me. I'm your mother. I stood in the marble lobby, watching the woman who'd raised me sob dramatically, but for the first time, I felt nothing. The tears that had always melted my resolve now seemed hollow, theatrical, a performance designed to manipulate. We can talk, I said, my voice even. Right here, in public. Can't we go somewhere private? She pleaded, glancing nervously at the people passing by. No, I said firmly. Say what you need to say. She hesitated, clearly uncomfortable with the audience. Your brother is in trouble, she said finally. I know, I replied. Tax evasion and fraud. He told me he made mistakes, but he's family. We have to help him. No, I said, my voice like steel. You have to help him. He's your son. Use your money. We don't have that kind of money, she said, her voice trembling. You know that. Then Nathan should have thought of that before breaking federal law, I said. How can you be so cold? She cried, her tears flowing freely now. This isn't like you. You're right, I said. The old Sophie would have already written the check. The old Sophie believed you when you said family helps family. But the old Sophie didn't know her family was planning to con her, to use her love against her. Her face went pale, her eyes wide with shock. How did you? Does it matter? I interrupted. What matters is that I know exactly what you all think of me. The naive daughter, the family ATM, the mark who'll never say no to family, who turns into pudding when you cry. Should I go on? Real tears replaced the manufactured ones, but they didn't move me. We were desperate, she whispered. No, I said. You were greedy. There's a difference. I turned and walked back to work, leaving her sobbing in the lobby. That afternoon, I accepted the London position, a decision that felt like both an escape and a rebirth. Thursday was eerily quiet, no calls, no texts, no surprise visits. The silence made me nervous, like the calm before a storm. On Friday, I found out why. I was packing up my desk for the weekend when security called. Ms. Winters, there's a process server here for you. My family was suing me, claiming the money I'd given them over the years, money they'd begged for, Money I'd sacrificed to provide were loans they were now being forced to repay, causing them severe emotional and financial distress. I looked at the papers and laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that echoed in the empty office. They were trying to legally force me to give them more money by claiming I was forcing them to give me money. It was so absurd, so desperately pathetic that I couldn't even summon anger. I called the lawyer Karen had recommended and emailed her the documents. "They have no case," she said after reviewing them. "No written agreements, no documentation. This is harassment, plain and simple. We can countersue if you want." "No," I said. "I don't want their money. I just want them gone." That weekend, I began packing not just for London, but for a new life, one where love wasn't transactional, where family meant more than shared DNA, where I wasn't valued solely for my bank account. Nathan called one last time from an unfamiliar number. "You're really going to let me go to prison?" he demanded. "I'm not letting you do anything," I said. "You're going to prison because you committed crimes. That's called consequences." "I could lose everything," he pleaded. "I've already lost everything," I said, my voice steady now. "My family, my trust, my faith in the people who were supposed to love me. But you know what? It's liberating. I don't have to pretend anymore that you all care about me as anything more than a checkbook." "That's not true, Sophie," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "You literally sat in Mom's kitchen and planned how to manipulate me," I said. "You laughed about how naive I am, how I don't understand the real world." "Well, congratulations, Nathan. I understand it now." "Sophie, please," he begged, but I was done. "Beg someone else," I said. "I'm done." I hung up and blocked the number. The movers came on Tuesday, packing up my life as I watched, each box a step further from the family that had used me. My phone had been silent for days. They'd finally given up. During a final walkthrough of my empty apartment, I found the lasagna dish in the back of a cabinet, the one I'd carried that fateful Sunday, filled with food made with love for people who saw me as nothing more than a resource to be exploited. I held it for a moment, then threw it in the trash, the sound of it shattering echoing in the empty space. At the airport, waiting for my flight to London, I received one last text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it unread, but curiosity won. It was from Mom. "I'm sorry. Not for needing help, but for how we planned to get it. You deserved better. I hope someday you can forgive us." I stared at the words for a long time, my thumb hovering over the keyboard, then typed back, "I hope someday you can deserve forgiveness." I turned off my phone and boarded the plane, leaving behind the weight of a family that had never truly seen me. 6 months later, I got word through my lawyer that Nathan had been sentenced to 18 months in federal prison. My parents had lost their house trying to pay for his legal defense and had moved in with my aunt in Florida. I felt nothing, no satisfaction, no guilt, no anger. They were strangers now, people I'd once known in a different life. My new life in London was everything the old one wasn't. I found colleagues who became true friends, relationships built on mutual respect rather than exploitation. I learned to trust again, slowly, carefully, building a life where I was valued for who I was, not what I could provide. Sometimes, on quiet Sunday mornings, I'd make lasagna just for myself, savoring each bite as I remembered the girl who used to carry her heart in a casserole dish, hoping her family would see her as more than a bank account. That girl was gone now, replaced by someone stronger, someone who understood that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from those who only love what you can give them. Family isn't about blood, I've learned. It's about who shows up for you without checking your bank balance first. It's about the people who see you, who value you, who love you for your heart, not your wallet. And sometimes, the only person who truly shows up for you is yourself. That's the real world, a world I finally understand. As I stand in my London flat, looking out over a city that's become my home, I feel a quiet strength within me. The scars are still there, but they're healing. And with every new day, I'm building a life where love is genuine, where trust is earned, and where I'm no longer defined by what I can give, but by who I choose to be. Please feel free to comment below if you liked this. Remember to like and subscribers for more.